Hey, we won't have any acting commissioners I'd put up Merino. Just so you know, Jeff Binder did some research on the law creating the Park Commission and determined that it's not legal to have acting commissioners.
Got it.
So, we will be using that.
Should this be spread out differently?
Say it again.
I always get a little confused if it should be spread out in a different way. 1, 2, 3, Gary.
Heard, okay, so I think Emily and Josh like to sit together. Yeah, so I would switch Jason and Emily. Until Gary walks in and decides it should be different.
Is this good for this for you? This is like these are all just in the same file like this because they're images, and then these are over here.
But they're not showing here.
Where? Because it's not connected yet.
Oh, okay. Yeah, those images are good. So what I would do is, in terms of teeing them up, I'd fill the screen and make that as large as possible. There you go. That's it. Yep. Keep going on that one.
Oh, more?
Yes.
Like that?
Yep.
Okay, it reverts back, I guess.
Oh, does it? Okay.
This also isn't on.
So this one's off.
Not necessarily. No, this is a. No, what happened is.
I was talking about the monitor.
Oh, mine? Oh.
That's good.
Yeah.
Okay, so,
Now that she's tuned in there, she can make sure that the audio's coming out.
right, but Gary he always wants this monitor to have to mirror.
Yeah, that's fine. I can do that, right? Mark, can you just turn on mic 8 again? Test, test, test. Okay, it's good. Alright, you can turn it back off. Alright, so. Yes, what's up?
You want to keep the earphone back? He wanted to speak with you.
Okay, no worries. Alright, so on T, okay,
So there's not enough power for the camera 3.
for that new switch that they.
It needs like 30 watts.
Okay, alright, well, in the meantime, I can put an AC out and just.
Hello, Patrick.
Yeah, that sounds right.
Testing?
And the resolution for the,
Resolution
for
to
the path,
support,
which was missing.
I'm sorry?
The resolution for the path was what was
Right,
not attached.
resolution to award a contract to repair Crawford Park path and gravel drive to West Warren Construction, Inc. of 336 blah, 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 yeah, that is there, and then the resolution is. Got it? Thank you. Oh, yeah, that was the band, that's why. Girl Scout skills,
Am I in the right spot?
You are according to your tag.
Are there four to
you
my
want,
right?
yeah, I've got
Testing.
Josh next to you, and then
Testing.
Emily, and then Jason, is that how you want it?
Podium microphone. Testing.
And you got Lindsay and
These are sounds question.
Testing. Podium microphone.
I have an idea. Why don't we switch? Why don't we put Jason over here and put Louis over there? Because I have a feeling Louis not gonna be here.
Exactly.
Right?
I'll just sit over here, Jason.
Is there a sign-in book room?
No.
Hi, Debbie, thank you for your message.
You're
today.
welcome.
Morning, thanks, Debbie. My quarter.
Were you blonde the last time I saw you?
No,
No.
I'm
all white.
Hello.
Don't mention the lady.
Oh, stop that.
Nice and warm in here.
You look well.
Okay. It's freezing out there.
Exactly, it's not how you.
Testing microphone number 1.
Did you check all of the,
Well, you know, something, there's a lot to be said about how you are, is how you
Yeah.
feel.
Number 2.
We do our best.
you have no idea.
Number
What?
3.
I know you have an idea going back and forth all day long on some of these.
Yeah.
Yeah, hi. Brandon, are you finished talking to?
6.
Check with the video.
Number 5.
Testing. Hello.
I have my phone back. Maddie, I think I figured out what those, hold on a second, okay, those hats I gave you, they belong to Vic. Okay. So I'm just, I left them in this house. Yeah, I think for last Christmas. Okay, I think I figured out that the stuff on the shelves, he's using it as a closet. Okay. So it's not garbage, it's his stuff.
Podium. Testing. What's going on with this one? Testing. I mean, I lowered the gain because there was some distortion. But can you just raise the gain on this just to see? Because when I was speaking into it before, there was some distortion. I just want to see. What's that? Okay.
Testing the podium. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. How does it sound? Jack, are we good? Okay. I know, it does tons of things. It's just
So instead of a cigar,
Hey, Russ. Did you get the shot? No.
They changed something with IT. There's not enough power on the switch that they put in to power the cameras. That's one issue. They also changed things. They didn't put static IPs on any of the cameras, and they changed everything. So the new IT company changed stuff. They didn't have us come in when they did it. They had Patrick come in, but they didn't ask us to come in to check it out.
So,
So
where do we go from here? So basically, every time you move the camera, it switches off?
yeah, it shuts off because there's enough power. It needs 30 watts per camera to power the camera.
But so what
And
you're
it's
doing now is
powered
you're
over
just trying to
PoE.
station it.
It's powered over Cat 6. If they change the router to something else and not using that router, they're not providing enough power for each of these cameras, which needs to be like 160 watts.
So-
it needs 30 watts per camera.
So,
And
what
it's
we
not
have to do is
providing
just
that.
keep it at one. We can't move it. So you're just
And
adjusting it manually?
also, there has to be static IPs on. They didn't do anything with setting IPs. They changed stuff, but they didn't change the actual camera controller has IP addresses for each camera.
Okay.
They didn't know when they did that. They changed stuff.
Good evening. My name is Megan Corbett. I live at 600 Forest Avenue, Rye, New York. That's at the corner of Oakland Beach Avenue. I have lived there for way many more years than I'd like to tell you, 39 to be exact. So I've been a loyal supporter of the park and the Friends of Rye Town Park. But I felt compelled to come tonight because the most recent event sponsored by the Barley Beach House is literally about 15 feet into the park on the Forest Avenue. The music, which is, by the way, this event is 8 days. It's 4 weekends, both Saturday and Sunday, for 6 hours. The music runs from roughly 11:30 in the morning till 6 p.m. both days. We're halfway through this 8-day extravaganza. The noise is excessive. I can see people are having a wonderful time. I'm fine with that. We do not need this kind of music right in people's homes. This music ran for 7 hours on Yom Kippur. My 2 immediate neighbors are Jewish. If I had been them, I'd have been over there across the street having the volume lowered. Every other event that Barley Beach House has run has always been on the far side near the water. They've already had a whiskey walk, a wine walk, a fashion walk. I'm not sure, I think there's been one, what was that? Our art show, and that's all since the end of the summer. So we're only like 5 weeks into fall. Not sure why this event was cited where it was. It needs to be moved. We need to look at what our agreement with the Barley Beach House is. Are they allowed to cite events anywhere they want in the park? Are they? I'm asking you all. Is that in the agreement? Are they the only one?
The agreement is, it wasn't a rhetorical question, you wanted an answer.
Yeah.
It's, the agreement is silent with regarding to the citing of special events. It all has to be coordinated with staff.
Interesting. Okay, so then how best can we ameliorate this immediately? In other words, these next 2 weekends, I'm asking for concessions on the time and the volume of the music. Realizing we're in the middle of this, right? But come on. This is a park. We've talked about it before. It's in a residential neighborhood. It's for the benefit, not just of the city of Rye, but the town of S is ongoing. The other factor is the generators for these concessions, the food and drink, run all night, Saturday night, from 6 p.m. until they open noon on Sunday. Okay? So, generators all night. The answer is we've got to have, I'm asking for concessions now, immediately, from the Barley Beach House. And we've got to look at this agreement. We can't be imposing on the neighborhood in this way. Why can't any other for-profit corporation come in and have a fall family festival? Why not, right?
No,
what are we doing?
They can't because the Barley Beach House,
Has an exclusive contract.
no, they have to ask permission. They set forth their events at the beginning of the year that we approve.
So
No,
we
nobody
approved
else.
4 weekends in a row.
I believe we approved those events. I am uncertain as to what the parameters are, but they can only do events that we approve. Now, in the future,
I'm sorry, we would not have approved the details that you're speaking to. That is, that would not have been shared with us. And
They would have been shared with someone, I would assume.
Well, I think that we have to step in and try to make this a livable situation for the next couple of weekends. And I don't know that there's any legal reason that we shouldn't or couldn't. But that's a question for the rest of the commission.
Absolutely. So I'm asking for those.
well, I think,
Concessions.
I'm not familiar with exactly how the event is being run. But I would think that the suggestion that you're making, depending on the event itself, why it has to be, why either the music or the generator have to be close to Forest Avenue, I don't know the answer.
It's sited between the Duck Pond and Forest
I
Avenue.
think that what happened, well, there's a lot of things that are upsetting about this. For me, one of them is that they have taken up a section of the park and fenced it off for the duration of these 4 weekends. So it's, you've used that orange sort of plastic fencing, and they leave all of their stuff in this area, and it's basically the summer overflow parking by the duck pond. So the reason that it's there, and we'll need to, I'm presuming, is because they wanted to find a place in the park where they could leave the equipment without it being interfered. Like, for example, the off-leash dog hours are on that other side where, like, the beer walk or the whatever.
Whiskey walk,
yeah.
wine walk.
But I do think, I remember that they had an event, a fall event, maybe it was last year or 2 years ago that I attended, that was a 1 or 2 day thing, but this is like a permanent,
It's a mini-
month-long.
Mini playland, because we have a bouncy
You okay?
castle, other things, and there's honestly
Well-
no need for a DJ for
I
an
think,
event like
I
this.
think that what we need to do is look at the event, have our attorney look at the, whatever agreement that we've had and what approvals that we've had to see if in fact there is any limitation. But I think number one, the most objectionable thing is the noise. And I would ask the city of Rye if the noise level exceeds the allowable limit in the city code. I think that's the first step. I don't know how you would do
Yeah.
that.
You would have to get,
Microphone if you're gonna speak.
you would have to get out there with the appropriate measuring devices.
Do
and
the
see.
police have such a thing?
I'm not sure that they do.
And
I
there-
don't- I just
there
don't
is
know.
actually no noise standard in Rye, and the idea that.
There is a noise, there is a noise limit
I know that,
in the city code.
yeah, I know. Excuse me, let me say something. I know that in Rybrook, there is a noise code, and you're allowed certain decibels. Jason can confirm it. Wait till he comes back, but I believe that there is, and I'm sure that the city of Rye has something. Whether it would address this, I don't know, and whether there is appropriate equipment, I don't know that either. But I think that's the first level of, does the noise emanating from the park exceed the decibel limit permitted by law? And if it does exceed it, then it should not be permitted, no matter where it is.
There's a thing, and I'm not a lawyer, but it's like a reasonable man statute or something like that. And the answer is, if you would take a few minutes of your time this Saturday, drive by, see the event, see where it's located, get an idea, and I think a phone call to the concessionaire, Barley Beach House, and say, hey, look, this isn't being neighborly, right? We've talked about that the park is situated in a neighborhood. You had a big kerfuffle over July 4th this summer. For me, personally, I try to avoid pain. Here's a suggestion to you all. Try to avoid pain over this issue by looking at the agreement that you all would have signed. I mean, Russ Gold and the park administration, I don't think, signed the agreement with Barley Beach House. And then make a call to this concessionaire and say, hey, you're not being neighborly.
That's why I asked the attorney to look into it. Okay, Jason, while you're out, the question came up. Does Rybrook have a noise ordinance?
Yes.
And what is that? You know offhand?
I think there's some of it pertains specifically to, contractual lawn maintenance,
Construction, that kind of thing.
Yeah, some of it pertains to that. I was actually just trying to look up if the city of Rye has it.
We do.
Yeah.
There's a general nuisance level.
Yeah.
There are particular provisions, but there is also a general nuisance level. And off the top of my head, I don't know what it is. But more to the point, I agree with Megan's request without even looking at our agreement.
Yeah.
If this is bothering people, and I think it would bother me if it were a sub-nuisance level constancy of music across the street from me for, what is it, 10, 12 hours a day?
6 to 7 hours, both days.
And
14 hours total.
That I too would be asking the people causing the music or the noise to just please turn it down.
I have two issues, Josh. The most important issue is the noise issue. The other issue is where they're setting up. When they set up their patio on the beach a couple of years ago, we went through a fairly arduous process of where would it be located, how far from the water, how far from the wall, and they had to get permits from the city of Rye. The fire department had to approve the tents. So we went through all of that. Question that I have is, what gives them the right to set up an event any place they want? Because I don't think, and Jeff, you could look into this, that in any of our agreements where we approved you're going to have this event, that it said, and it shall take place in such and such a spot.
And shall run for 8 days.
Yeah, we have to look into that,
Including a
Megan.
very solemn religious holiday for a lot of families.
I agree with you in terms of this has to be regulated. Right now, it is unregulated, and we have the right and the authority to regulate it, and we need to take action with regard to that.
Yeah, just sort of more generally, I mean, I understand why it's so upsetting, and I expressed to Megan that I'm grateful that, this is how we we know like what the community is, you know, thinking and feeling and responding, and so it's super helpful to have these kinds of comments, right? But I think just as a general matter, you know, we get that Barley Beach House calendar. I forget which month we usually see that, and there are.
It's like in February.
Yeah, and like it's just it feels excessive to me. It's like almost every weekend there's something there, and I just think maybe we could talk as a commission at that time about setting a more specific like allowance for them, because it does feel like, you know, every weekend there's an event, and it's not even like really that a lot of them aren't bothersome to the neighbors, but it just feels like there should be some weekends where there's not something.
Well, even if there are, I don't mind having events. It depends on the event. And I think what we need to do, and I don't know it doesn't affect this year, but going forward, next year and the year after and the year after, when we approve their events, we need to approve it with conditions. The event shall take place from such and such a time to such and such a time, and it shall occur in such and such a place.
Well, I think what hasn't happened and needs to happen is that their event list has to be pre-vetted by park staff in advance.
It should
with
be a task force, maybe, some
with-
folks from
with a view to,
community.
well, and an understanding of what the strains will be on the park, where this will fit in the park, and what else may be going on in the park at the same time. So that when it comes to us with staff comment and an understanding of how this will really go.
I think that we have had some of that, but I don't think that what's happened this year had happened in the past to this extent. Debbie, you were going to say something.
The presentation that was presented in February and approved included a page or a slide on the Family Fall Festival at Rytown Park. It says, join us every weekend in Rytown Park for a fun-filled day for the family. No reason to waste time driving and overpaying at these seasonal orchards. We have officially brought the orchard to you with free parking, over 2,000 pumpkins for you to choose from, cider donuts, live music, face painting, hay rides, axe throwing, food, shopping, vendors, and you'll be coming back for more. Adults are free. Kids 3 and up are $35 each. Kids tickets include 1 pumpkin from our pumpkin patch, from pumpkin painting, bubble zone, bubble wand, unlimited bounce castle, play, unlimited hay rides, kids axe throwing, cotton candy, live DJ, dance, entertainment. Pumpkins patch ring toss. Check out our giant ring toss for some family fun. I'll just skip down. There's face painting from 1 to 4. For adults, we will have over 30 shopping vendors showcasing blah, blah, blah.
Yeah,
So,
I mean, I will definitely say, I'm looking at this slide from here, and, you know, guilty for not reading the fine print, probably, because I know when they go through these slides, it's like, it's kind of speed fire, but it does say that they're marketing it to us as the Fall Festival, which to me insinuates that it's a one weekend maybe sort of thing. It does say in there that it's going to go for 4 weekends. Yeah. Yeah. I think.
Join us every weekend does not imply 2 days, both days, right? Or does it? To me, I think that.
Mike, I think it's something we have to look into. Okay, this hasn't happened before. This is new. We're going to have to look at what's happened and ways that we can deal with it in the future. In the meantime, the immediate problem is the noise, and we need to do something about that. And again, I'm concerned. It sounds like, you know, they are taking over the entire park, and I don't think that any of us realize that. So I don't know for sure. You had a comment, and then I want to hear from Russ. Sir.
I'll speak. When my wife.
but from the podium, please, because we
Yes,
can't.
from the microphone.
Good evening. I'm Mike Corbett. I've lived in Rye 50 years. I'm a practicing attorney. To to start with the sound noise, I've discussed this with Rye City Rye Police a number of times. They said it's a reasonable man judgment made by the police force. And so I didn't bother.
I don't think that's correct.
Okay, I'm just saying that's what I've been told. But I just want to reiterate, I've lived across and enjoyed the park. We bought the house just as we were about to have our first child, because we enjoyed the park, and we grew up in Pelham, and I've lived in Rye 10 years before. In 40 years, I've never had a musical presentation with a stage that was not placed in the rear of the park, close to the beach, so it wouldn't intrude on, as a courtesy to the neighbors like me and Megan and my other friends. First time, 40 years. It's right in our face. The music is so bad. Myself and my neighbors, we leave our house between 11 and 6 on Saturday, Sunday. In my opinion, it doesn't belong there. I have a bigger issue, which my wife, she has her own expression of her view, is I'm very uncomfortable with turning the park, which I love, into a mini playland exploited by a bar, corporate for profit. I'm just blown away by it, quite honestly. And I'm just astounded that this is going on. I'm trying not to, I've been a litigator for 50 years, trying to calm down. And so I object to it. And all my friends and everyone going to the park thinks the money's going to the town of Rye directly. They don't know it's going for a for-profit.
Well, we do get a percentage. We do.
How large?
6%.
So they're stuffing their pockets with money which should be going to the town of Rye. I think it's a disgrace, honestly, but I'm trying to leave the litigation history behind. And I don't think my neighbors and I and other voters in the town of Rye can be happy that we have a corporation bar taking the money out of our park, which everyone thinks is going to you. So thank you for your time.
Thank you for coming. We appreciate it. Russ, do you have anything you want to say? Hold your chair.
Yeah, first of all, Megan and Michael, thanks for bringing this to our attention. If you recall, Megan, you did bring it to my attention during the first weekend. So I immediately interfaced with the Barley Beach House, and we made substantive changes to the format for the as far as the music and the noise was concerned. We eliminated the DJ for the starting the first weekend they had a DJ. When I say we, it's not me, it's not us, it's not the park, it's the Barley Beach House. So for the second weekend and for subsequent weekends, we have eliminated the DJ. So we just have single singer-songwriter live performances at a far lower decibel level, and then when they're done, there's a playlist that was curated by the Peak 107, which we're just playing through small speakers for the remainder of the event. I had hoped that would be enough. There's not much more I can say about that. I am very concerned with your comment that the generators were running all night. I don't believe that's true, but if it is, and I'll take you for your word, I will make sure that does not happen again. What I will do also is see that I heard you. I believe I heard you say that it's running 7 hours a day, both days. I don't believe that to be 100% accurate, but I will make sure that they comply with the time stated for the event, that it starts at 12 and it ends at 6. So they're not going to they won't start the music early, they won't end it late, and as far as the generators are concerned, I got a
Saturday into Sunday, because the food or iced coffee or whatever it is still sitting there, and the generator has to keep it going.
Again, that's not all the vendors shut all their stuff down. Everything gets put away. So, but I give you my word that I will see to it that nothing's running overnight.
Thank you, Russ. Thank you for coming.
You're welcome. Thank you for the courtesy.
Thank you.
Thank you. First item of business is a resolution in support of the Town of Rye application to the Westchester County Flood Mitigation Grant Program. And I know Emily has to leave, so we will try to get through this. As everybody's aware, the pond at Rytown Park floods. We were able to obtain a grant a year or so ago from FEMA to find out exactly what's causing the problem. Dolph Rothfeld's firm, and I keep calling it Dolph Rothfeld's firm, AI engineers, conducted a study with those funds, and as a result thereof, a plan was promulgated that was presented to the commission, I don't know, probably 2 months ago, Debbie, 3 months ago, something like that. And we subsequently...
The presentation was in June.
Well, that's close enough. June, July, yeah, 3-4 months ago. Anyway, so a plan was promulgated, and we submitted an application to FEMA, which would fund, if we got the grant, 75% of the estimated cost, which is approaching $4 million. And in order to come up with the balance of the funds, we are also applying to the Westchester County Flood Mitigation Program. Because only the town of Rye is a member of the Westchester County Urban Consortium, the application to Westchester County is through the town of Rye, and this resolution is in support of the town's application to the flood mitigation program. There will be other steps needed. The city of Rye, according to the dictates of the Stormwater Advisory Board, the city of Rye, which has the streets and is part owner of the park, obviously, will need to submit a letter of support. And Debbie met today. Debbie and the park engineers met with the city manager of Rye, Mr. Greg Ussery, and the city engineer to go over what the project would be. So that's where we are, and tonight we are hopefully going to pass this resolution in support of the town application. Questions? If not, a motion and a second, please.
I'll make the motion.
Second?
Second.
Debbie, please call the roll.
Commissioner Klein,
Yes.
Commissioner Jackson,
Yes.
Commissioner Hurd,
Yes.
Commissioner Cohn,
Yes.
President Zuckerman.
Yes. Our next item is awarding a contract to repair the Rytown Park path and the gravel drive. Debbie, do you want to tell us what this is about and where the money's coming from?
So, part of the restoration of the park from the tropical storms, particularly Tropical Storm Ida, was the completion of the path with item 4, gravel, and a rolling for the path that goes around the pond. You can see the description up on your wall. We went out for proposals. We've received 3 of them, each with 2 alternates. The funding is what's left of the funds we received from FEMA for this purpose. So we are proposing to award the contract to Westmoreland Construction for the purpose of this project, and as I said, it's been paid for.
Okay, and the amount is $18,601.
Correct.
Okay.
Right, of the 2 alternates, of all the alternates, that's the least expensive.
And why does it not, see the small bridge on the bottom?
To the right, yeah.
Yeah. Is that just already in good shape right there?
It's a different surface entirely. It has,
Oh,
and that was nothing that was damaged in the tropical storm, so it hasn't even been part of the conversation.
okay.
Any other questions? May I have a motion and a second, please?
Motion.
Second.
Debbie, call the roll, please.
Commissioner Jackson,
Yes.
Commissioner Klein,
Yes.
Commissioner Cohn,
Yes.
Commissioner Hurd,
Yes.
President Zuckerman.
Yes. Resolution basically amending a previous resolution and awarding contract for repair and actually a lot of replacement of the pavilions to Alden Bailey Restoration in an amount not to exceed $518,000. Everybody could read the resolution if you're watching on television. I will try to summarize. The roofs of both pavilions, as well as the columns, are in need of restoration and replacement. We were able to secure a grant in the amount of $250,000 through the offices of Steve Otis and the SAM program. That amount was not sufficient to do both pavilions after we received the bids, which totaled $488,000. So we revised the scope down and actually agreed to pay $292,000, which would have done one pavilion and the columns of the second pavilion. That would have resulted in a local match of over $42,000. We were able to secure a second SAM grant, again through the efforts of Assemblyman Otis, in the amount of $250,000, which makes a total of $500,000. The contractor agreed, even though it's approaching a year later, to hold the price of $488,000 with the exception and an extra of $29,880 for the increased labor and materials since the time of the bid opening, for a total of $517,980. This would result in a local match of only $17,980, which is less than the original local match had we done only one pavilion. And as far as the city and the town are concerned, the town's share of the local match is approximately 60% of the nearly $18,000, and the city share approximately 40% of the nearly $18,000. And work is expected to commence shortly, first on the original pavilion, because now the material has to be, for the second pavilion, has to be ordered, so there will be some delay. But both pavilions will be done, and hopefully prior to winter, or certainly the spring. And they are not, the cost does not include a second staging, which we were worried about. We were worried about having to rebid. We were worried about having to stage twice. None of that is happening, so I think this is a very, very good deal for the Park Commission. Questions? If not, motion and a second, please.
Motion. Second.
Debbie, call the roll.
Yes, Commissioner Hurd,
Yes.
Commissioner Cohn,
Yes.
Commissioner Klein,
Yes.
Commissioner Jackson,
Yes.
President Zuckerman.
Yes. Unless people have questions on the management report or financial statements, that completes the agenda. Emily, right on time for you.
Gary, do you
Oh,
want to
yes,
brief
okay,
the
yes.
commission?
Yes, Debbie's going to make a short presentation. That won't take but 2 minutes. Things that were brought to our attention.
Yes, the park director brought to my attention early last week the fact that there was a very concerning piece of stucco
that appeared to be delaminating from the south tower. This is right over the steps, right next to the promenade. I've got a couple of different pictures here, but the one that's on the screen right now shows it particularly well. We brought it to the attention of our architect, who looked at it within days. I met with the contractor that handled the stucco work on the bathhouse, and therefore very familiar with the issue of stuccoing and repairing the buildings at Rytown Park. That happens to be Pauling Construction, I believe is the LLC, and Lou Larissa is the proprietor, and he'll have a bucket truck there this week addressing the dangerous situation. This is on an emergency basis because we're quite concerned that pieces of the stucco could fall and injure someone. So that's why we're taking very fast action.
Do you have a sense of the cost?
I do not know because we don't know what's going to happen when they bring a mallet to that piece of stucco.
So
and
it
it
seems
comes
like
off.
they have to remove it, they don't just like glue it.
Correct. Yes.
Can they just re-stucco the whole building?
Well, you know
Oh,
something,
yes.
you know something, I know Mayor Cohn, and I received a letter from a resident of the city of Rye, which I forwarded to Mayor Cohn along with my reply, asking whether we can knock the building down and replace it with a smaller one. My response was that it's a
He wanted us to knock all the buildings down.
all of them, yeah. Well, I was concentrating on this one since we're repairing all the others. But it's a historic building, so I don't think we get permission. And to replace it would be very expensive. And I think, I don't know if it was in that letter, Mayor, or another one, you addressed somebody that that it would be, that we can't expend funds, and I said the same thing, unless we have a definite use for the building, which will be, have no use, especially when we complete the bathhouse. And we move the permit office there and the director's office there. However, what we might want to consider doing is applying for a grant just to repair the exterior of that, because I don't think there's any way that this is going to be knocked down. But just like we had replaced the roof many years ago, I think when Steve Otis was first in the assembly, I think Bobby Morabito was the town supervisor, back around, was around 2008, when, 5?
Joe Carvin, I think, was elected in 2008.
No, I think it was when Bobby was the supervisor. I think you're right, around 2005. Yeah, the entire roof was replaced. So I think that's something we should consider doing. And I don't know what the extent is, but right now we're looking at just making sure it's not dangerous.
If I may, it looks like directly underneath that one portion, there was a repair of some sort to the stucco.
Yes.
Yeah.
There was,
Was that from?
Lisa Easton was our architect at the time, and there were disturbing delaminating stucco at the time, and she went up in a bucket truck with Helen N. Is that the name of it? Mike Nieto, which was, he was the proprietor of the firm that replaced the roof on the tower building and the roof on the bathhouse as well. So they went up, she with a rubber mallet to, she was doing an existing conditions report, which she produced in 2017. And so they tapped off, anything that fell off at that time was patched by Mike Nieto. So that's what you're looking at. You're looking at a patch from 2017.
All right, because I'm just wondering if there is sort of something underlying or within the structure that's causing the disturbance in the same area, in essence, a crack that's moving upward.
I'd like to think, the Pauling has a pretty good idea of what they're facing, in the fact that they really took a look, they took a very ugly situation at the bathhouse and remediated it. I think we'll probably get more information.
Yeah.
I
To
think,
your idea, Gary, starting to think, when we've managed other things, of essentially mothballing it. That is, doing what we need to do from a precautionary perspective.
I agree with you, Josh, I agree with you. He didn't say, he said mothballing, not embalming. Although it's about the same thing.
Yes, very much. Maybe we could enclose the whole building in lucite.
Yeah, perfect. Wouldn't that be cool?
We could put a giant snow globe over it.
And it could snow all year long.
Maybe-
Exactly.
Maybe we can spray it with plastic.
We should get one of those like artists that does, like the huge. Yeah, something like that.
Christo?
Exactly.
Yeah.
No, it is concerning just
Right.
looking at the
Emily, thank you.
condition.
I'm sorry.
That's okay, you had announced
We
it.
adjourn?
Yeah, motion to adjourn?
I'll make the motion.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you, everybody.